So I have recently gotten into JJK over the summer. It quickly became an obsession to say the least. However, while engaging in the fandom online, I have noticed that there has been disdain towards the manga's ending and a bit of slander towards the mangaka, Gege Akutami. While I have recently joined the fandom, I do believe that a lot of the slander towards him is unwarranted, so I will be explaining why that is in this video. Hope you enjoy it.
Now, this is something that just completely baffles me. Now listen, the ending to JDK, in my opinion, wasn't the best, however, it was far from the worst thing ever. My issue with the ending was that it felt rushed, and I felt as if there should have been a couple more chapters to explain some things. However, I don't think it is the biggest piece of dog water that I've seen a lot of people say it was. I will be going to this a bit more later on, but to say that Gege was a bad writer just screams being overreactive in my opinion. Heck, I'd argue that Gege is a great writer, just couldn't reach his full potential due to health problems and Shonen Jump, jumping at his throat. He has written great arcs that have been praised in the fanbase and out of it, such as Hidden Inventory, Shibuya, and Culling Game, and he has some really great, amazing written characters. For example, Gojo, Megumi, Yuta, Maki, Sukuna, even Gato, to name my favorites in a handful. Gege has also written emotional relationships between characters such as Gojo and Gato or Yuji and Megumi. Not even from a shipping standpoint, the relationships between these two are so emotional and well written in the way that we see how they grow and fall apart and how the relationship between Gojo, Gato, and Yuji and Megumi drive the story. Also, those fight scenes and aura moments that a lot of people say are the only good things to come from JJK. I'm gonna tell you guys a little something, okay? Gege writes those. He writes the fight scenes in a way that characters interact with each other, how they solve their problems throughout the fight, and he has to write the fight choreography too, where the characters are, in addition to drawing it. I have more to say about it, however, I'm trying to keep this video as short and sweet as possible, but what kind of blasphemy are you spitting, bro? Why is everyone slander this guy at every moment? Before JDK was serialized, Gege had a different concept for JDK, with it being a horror story. Honestly, look at the concept, it seemed really interesting, and low-key would have read it. Unfortunately, the story was going to be published in Shonen Jump, and to better suit its target audience, changes had to be made. This isn't the first time that this has happened since Demon Slayer suffered the same fate. This was also going to happen to AOT, but Isayama says, screw that, I'm going somewhere else. The reason why I bring this up is because there has been a statement going around that Gege hates JDK / is tired of it, because of the fact that the story isn't his original idea. I can understand that one might think that because being an author and having your idea being toned down has to be devastating, let alone that the fact that the manga industry is hard to get into. So if Gege wanted to do what Isayama-san did, he might not have had the same result as he did. However, I don't think Gege hates JDK or what it has become. Sure, he might have been disappointed that wasn't his original idea, but saying he creates it, in my opinion, is crazy. I'm sure he still cares about JDK and is still passionate about it. Heck, bro even wrote an entire sequel manga just to tie up loose ends for an ending. And have we even seen the amazing artworks that he has released since JDK has ended? This is just something that I genuinely see probably the most out of this entire thing. I get that for some fan bases such as Persona, for example, where it is common to say that the fans don't even play the games, but rather experience it through reels and through manga leaks. Jujutsu Kaisen is pretty much the manga anime version of this meme, and it is so true, unfortunately. If you have been in the online fan base as of late, then you are probably aware of the potential man memes about Megumi. Listen, Megumi isn't even my favorite character in JDK, but the slander has gotten way too far. The memes are funny at first, but now it's getting to the point where this is where people are getting their opinions of characters and storyline from. People not reading the actual manga and just seeing what happens from leaks and calling it poor writing. An example of this can be the Chapter 8 leaks for Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo, the new manga. In this chapter, it is revealed that Gege Akutami, waifu by the way, has a brain tumor and has about 6 or 7 months left to live. Before the chapter officially released that Sunday, there were genuine people saying the usual Gege is sexist and hates his female characters, blah blah blah. Personally, I don't like reading into leaks because I like to be surprised and experience the story while reading it. So the chapter came out, and surprise, surprise, the people who actually read the manga praised the chapter for its emotional storyline and character development for Yuka and Cross, and the people who just read the leaks said the usual BS. And don't even get me started on the agenda pushers. I really don't know why people are always trying to push these false narratives about characters. I get that they are probably joking, but these accusations are so stupid, it makes me question media literacy nowadays. Listen, I see so many people calling Yuta a pedophile because of Rika, and Megumi a bum because he summons Mahoraga so many times. Oh my god, are you telling me that the super depressed teenager tries to end himself multiple times? That seems to be pretty obvious, but Loki, half his fanbase either watch JJK, but really doesn't pay attention to the story and are only there for the hype and aura moments, or those who just watch on TikTok. Now I wasn't in the fanbase when the original manga came out, but I did hear that this was a rampant issue in the fanbase at the time. Honestly, stuff like this really contributes to the mischaracterization of characters and increase the more people slandering Gege. When I say this in the most confused way I can possibly say it in. What the everlasting freak is wrong with you? Okay, so for context, according to my research, those who say this is because the female characters in JJK don't have depth or development. When I see this, I wonder if you even read the manga or watched the anime. For starters, the female cast not having depth is just not true at all. Nobara, Maki, Mai, and Riko, for example, have depth and do develop throughout the story. Heck, I barely see people mentioning Mai, but then again, people don't like her that much, so... unfortunately. I'll start with Riko, for example. Riko, for example, goes from a girl who was willing to sacrifice her body to be a vessel for Tengen, to wanting to spend the rest of her life with her friends that she made along the way to Tengen. Literally, throughout Hidden Inventory, she spends so much time with Gojo Gato, and she starts to appreciate life. But before she can, though, a certain somebody kinda bang bang bang. Yeah. I'll also bring up Best Girl Mai Zenin, the most underrated female character in JJK, changed my mind. Unlike Maki, who wanted to rebel against the Zenin, Mai just wanted to do what was expected of her thanks to the clan's misogynistic ways. However, Mai had to study jujutsu thanks to Maki. This caused a rift in their relationship. This causes her to take her frustrations out on others and to have the unlikable attitude she has in Season 1. She's so like her. So right off the bat, Mai has depth to her. For development, I'll bring up the Culling Game arc, or Season 3. Next year is going to be so peak, guys. Mai literally puts aside her differences to sacrifice her life so Maki could escape the pit where her father put them in. While this might seem like a generic other character sacrifices themselves trope, this part of Culling Game also shows that despite how much it seems that Mai might resent Maki after everything, she still loved her sister enough to sacrifice her life, mind you, to destroy the Zenin. I'm not really going to go much into Maki because, everybody talks about Maki. However, there's some things I want to say about Nobara. So I see that people say that she also doesn't have any depth, it doesn't develop because of her depth in the Shibuya incident arc. My response to that is that Nobara before Shibuya was still a good character. She had depth and did develop, however it wasn't in a major way. Nobara also had depth in the way that she had her friend leave and wanted to see her again in Tokyo while getting trained to be a jujutsu sorcerer. While doing that, she becomes friends with Yuji and Megumi. However, when Shibuya hits, she gets pretty much soda pop and Maito and dies. What I find so tragic about this part of the Shibuya incident is that Nobara was freaking devastated when Saori left. If you watch the show and sub, man, you can hear her cries, and that was devastating. So her leaving to hopefully find Saori again makes sense. However, that's what makes her friendship and relationships with Megumi and Yuji even more bittersweet. This is why, in my opinion at least, Nobara should have stayed dead in the story. It would have made her arc more tragic, and it would have further contributed to the somber storyline of Jujutsu Kaisen and the themes of loss of childhood, youth, and exploitation of children for the needs of others. However, her coming back in the end did make me smile a bit because so many characters were dying, so to have one come back was a bit refreshing, Finally, I want to bring up 2 points I've heard about the female characters that further lead to Gege being a sexist, POS according to some people. One is that there's a predator in the female cast. I think you guys know who it is. Mei Mei. No, not her. Her. My response to this is, are we going to pretend that horrible people, like horrible female people, don't exist? There are dozens of horrible people in the cast of JJK, and Mei Mei being one of them does not make him a sexist. Mei Mei is supposed to represent the child exploitation theme of Jujutsu Kaisen, and is also a really good character for that role alone. Mei Mei is not a good person. Crazy, I know. She is selfish, manipulative, and only really focused on herself and her own gain. Her doing what she does to poor Wee Wee is unfortunate, but not totally out of character. I'd also want to mention, there is a confirmed rapist in the series, like literally one of the major antagonists. I don't really see people bringing that up. No. The final point I want to make is the critique that a lot of female characters died to further another character's development. To be honest, Loki, the only character I can find is fitting is Tsumiki, Megumi's sister. I don't have much to counter argument there for this, but I will say this though. Compared to a certain other plot device whose only purpose is to help another character develop it, Tsumiki at least has more to know about her and is more relevant to the story than a certain somebody in the inventory. That's all I'll say. And also, just a side note, I want to say, Jujutsu Kaisen is a manga published in a shonen magazine. It is obviously going to prioritize its male cast more simply because of that, and that's fine. Especially since with all that I've said, if you personally have a problem with it, it's more of a Shonen Jump problem rather than a Gege Akutami problem. Especially since I've heard many people say that female characters in shonen stories suck. Heck, I hear the exact same thing with Naruto and Bleach, for example. So I don't really know why people are trying to single out Gege Akutami for this, when it seems to have to be an issue with other Japanese shonen series in general. So, what's happening here? Now, with all of that said and done, I do believe and hope that once the rest of the manga is animated, most of this will die down. I do, however, hope that Mappa could add some details that could flesh out a bit of the flaws of the manga because of the reasons mentioned above. For example, I think that Mappa should add some scenes about Nobara before she comes back in Shinjuku Showdown. As much as I have been defending Akudami for a while, I do admit that this part of the manga could have been handled a bit better. Maybe a scene during Conan Games where it shows her body at least, just to remind the audience, hey guys, Nobara got off to Shibuya. But as I still said before, even if Mappa doesn't really add anything else, which I doubt mainly because the literal first 10 minutes of season 2 were all like anime original, I still feel that the hate and slander for the latter half of the manga will go away. Like the ending for Attack on Titan, for example. When the manga ending came out, people hated that thing. Like, oh my god, 50 videos on YouTube, entire playlist about why the ending sucked. However, when the anime ending came out, almost everybody loved it. Things such as animation, voice acting, music can really do a lot to change one's opinions about something, compared to like a drawing in a text bubble.
I tried hard, but where did we so long? I hope we could, but I won't start over again. Midday street war outside, smelling these sparks in the air. Nobody stopped to sit and wait. Your fight seems so innocent. Everything they
So I know that this video is kind of out of the blue because I usually make content on video games instead of anime and manga, despite my huge love for anime and manga. Thank you for watching. I am planning on making a part 2 to this if I get more arguments I want to debunk. I am planning on making more JDK videos in preparation for Season 3 and Execution film, if I don't lose motivation real fast. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and maybe check out my channel for other stuff I made. I hope you have a great day. Bye for now.